Hi, welcome back to the McSherryStudio, and today I'm going to be painting this from this. Okay, so let's have a look at the reference more closely. Hi, so here we are in the workspace. Let me just add my colours. So I'm going to use the McSherry process palette. Okay, so if I put that titanium white, give myself plenty of white. I think I'll be using a lot of white in this one. Next is cadmium yellow pale hue. So it's kind of a limited palette, but it can get the whole gamut of colours. That's the idea. So permanent rose, all in the Winsor and Newton Griffin range. Cobalt blue. Ivory black. You don't need very much of that. That's just for helping to create shadows. And burnt sienna. Okay. So that's for creating the darkest darks, the chromatic darks, all that kind of thing. I'm going to put in a little bit of liquid. I kind of like using liquid a bit these days. It just helps the paintings to the paint to flow a little bit, but it also makes the painting dry a little bit or set a little bit quicker. So and must make sure I have my rag. Got to have your rag. And I'm going to start out with a permanent with a burnt sienna wash. Okay, so. Anyway, here we are in the comfort of the studio and your home. Okay, so wipe that down. How are you doing? Before we get back to the brushes, a quick reminder, don't forget to hit like and subscribe and drop a comment. I love hearing what you're working on. It keeps the community growing and helps others find these video lessons too. If you'd like some extra resources, check out the links just below. I've got ebooks that take you step by step through oil painting, merchandise like t-shirts and aprons, perfect for keeping the paint where it belongs, and prints of my own work. And you'll even find original oil paintings if you'd like a unique piece for your wall. Every bit of support makes it possible for me to share these tutorials for free, and I can't thank you enough. Okay, let's get back to the demo. A little bit, and then I'm ready for my drawing. Okay, so I'm just going to use a smaller brush and make quite a dark mix. Put a bit of blue and the burnt sienna together so I can see it. Okay, so essentially that pot is a circle in the middle. It's a globe, but what's the measurement top and bottom? So it's about 2/3. The whole thing is about 2/3 as high as it's wide. So if I want my pot to go no more than that, and that would be 2/3 of the width measurement. Let's see if that works there. Yeah, that kind of fits in. It's quite a long teapot, isn't it? All right, so it does appear to be in the centre. So I'm going to give myself a centre line. Like that. So we've got the extent there and there. Let's put in the entire shape first of all. So that to there, to the tip of the spout. Then down there, like an angle there. All of this is subject to change. You know, when you're drawing, you can make errors and then correct them. Drawing's all about making marks and correcting them. Okay, so the bobble I said was going to come to about there. Okay, then we've got this lid. Got that negative shape there. try it out as a hexagon first. It's a little off to the right of the center line. Give room for that spout. Okay, and then the handle coming up there like that, but it's below, it's level with the top of the spout, so come down a wee bit there. And there's that negative shape in there. It looks like a number 1, almost, with the, okay, there. I want to make sure I've got that spout. I think that spout's going to come out just a bit further there. Comes down there like that, and then curves up into the... I think my pot is just that little bit too wide for the spout, so I'm going to change it. Use my rag just to go in there, wipe that back. And move that bobble off to the right. Taking into account that negative shape there. Okay. Down into the pot like that, and then that comes down, and then we've got we're looking down somewhat at this pot, and they can go around there like that, around there, pot there. The lid sitting into its space there. Okay, and then let's start marking in some of these folds. There's a nice one there coming down like that, and then we've got this one coming down here. So I recommend sort of doing straight lines, angles, make it all very geometric, and put the darker parts of the shadow in first, and then there's a shadow that comes out there just under the handle there, and that snakes around it there, and then we've got a kind of a dark area there, and then that angle coming off of there. We've got some little lighter shadows coming there. We've got a shape coming out here like that, down above the bobble of the teapot, the handle, well, not the handle, it is the bobble, I don't know, what do they call those things there, and we've got a shadow coming in there. So you just register these shadows and register them against the other shapes that are around as well there, like that. And then we've got some coming up there, and then we've got one there. Shape of the folded cloth behind comes down there, and then we've got this shape here which comes up, and it's slightly darker in tone, but it kind of follows the line of the bobble, so it's up the center there, then down there like that, and that one comes across there, and it joins all this lot here, so but that's quite dark there. And then we've got another one there. We've got a big dark coming along here. We're not going to see as much of it as there actually is on the reference, the setup. Okay, so there. All that area there is slightly darker, but we've got that one there, and then we've got a kind of a mid-tone coming out there. We've got a nice dark beside this one. So they're all kind of reference mapping points, and here we've got some kind of a bit of dark shadow in there. and that snakes around there, as I said before. That's it, and then it comes out slightly. We've got one there, and then that comes down round there, up and across, and then that. And then can we see, yeah, we can't see the dark on that side. Maybe just a little bit here. So that means we've got a dark up there and a dark down here. That's not too bad, it's quite balanced. Okay, now let's do something with this area here. There's a kind of dark shadow in there. And it would be the same for clothing. If you had to draw, you know, the way the clothes are draped over a body, you know, it's the same. That one was that one, and then there's another little one there, and then we've got one coming to here. Okay, now that's all reflected, isn't it, in the teapot? So we've got this general dark coming down here, and you can see the reflection of that one there. Look at that; it's right on the centre line. There, dark there, and it comes down and up and then round, and that's reflecting all of this. Okay, and then it comes up, around, up there like that, and then we've got that sort of shape, kind of window shape there. And I must turn my phone off, or at least turn it on Do Not Disturb. Yeah, let me just, yeah, right, sorry about that. Let's mark, oh yes, I mean there's another big dark here, which is almost as dark as the bubble, coming down there like that. Got some darks here that I don't want to lose there in the handle, across the top of the handle there, and it comes down there like that. And I've nearly got the drawing there. That's dark there, there, and that's all dark there. Okay, that's a curve there. Dark there, and then dark around there. Okay, that's something to work with. I think that's going to have to come slightly over there like that. That's fine, and then big dark here. So, right, so what I'm going to do now that I've got a drawing is do a kind of a Notan. So I'm going to put some darks in, that's for sure. So let's make them more blue. Put a blue into that burnt sienna mix. And then I'm just going to establish some of these darks. Put them in there like that. Make a kind of a tonal representation of this composition there. Okay, there, and then that's dark. It's bigger, it occupies more space than I have it there. And then there's darks down here. And then we've got darks down in the base. Up through there. Then that's dark, and that comes out into kind of a triangle there. That one seems to be there already, so that's not bad there. And then there's a triangle of quite dark shadow there. Coming out. We've got this one here. Well, those are kind of already in, really, aren't they? With the angles there. If you get these kind of darks in, they show you the structure of the painting. Then that goes on there like that. Down there like that. Might have to actually cut that in a little bit, make it more skinny down around there. Make sure the bubble is visible. There's a dart there. Okay, so those are kind of all extraneous things. I can know where they are because of these more substantial folds, and that, of course, that kind of goes down there, and then there's bits there like that, but that's for later. Okay, and they all got one there. That's worth putting in. And there's some work to be done around here where the pot is sitting. Okay, that's not too bad, and there's a nice dark in there. Okay, so now I'm going to go quite dark in that those areas of the pot that are dark, of course. Okay, so there, like that. Well, the bobble, of course. Might need to change my brush very soon. There, like that. That's dark. There's dark coming around there like that. And then that's dark there. Now there is a bit of a highlight there, so I'm going to just, so I don't forget where it is. Well, hardly likely to, but there. Just wipe that back with my rag, which is a great technique to have. But just don't forget it. You've got a rag there, so use the rag. There. That's, just make sure it stays dark. There, like that. And that's quite dark in that part there. There's very little light getting in there. And of course I'll come back to these because at the moment the paint is quite thin and it's not covering up completely, but I'll be going back over it anyway. There. And just be warned, it's easy to get deflated while you're doing these things because things don't seem to be changing very fast. But no, don't allow yourself to become, to lose faith. Paintings are all about making marks and correcting them. So you're not going to get the correct mark straight away anyway. So just forget about it. Okay. I need to fill that in a bit. It's nice painting shiny objects. There. Oh, and the handle, of course. Don't forget the handle. There. And that bit coming out of the pot there. And that's dark. There. Oh, and of course we've got the spout. Don't forget the spout. Okay. And so now it's unavoidable. We've got to start painting those shadows. Now there are a lot of them are kind of mid-tone really. They're all around the mid-tones. So let's grab some white, some liquid there, and start, because they're greys really in those shadows. Let's make a grey out of 3 colours plus white. And blue. Okay. So there's a kind of a nice mid-tone. Make it a bit more blue. It's a kind of a cool painting, isn't it? So make that blue. Now I just want to go into some of the darker bits of shadow. So I'm going to add a little bit of black. That's just really to bring it down to the tonal value that I want. and then just add in a couple of the colours into that again. A bit more black. Okay, something like that. So let's put those in there like that. There. Here, definitely. And here. Definitely here. Kind of establish some of those shadows. And in fact, this is one here on the pot. But hang on, before we get to the pot, I'm just getting ahead of myself there. That one, that's quite dark, coming up around here. Up there. That one definitely. That one's even darker than what I have at the moment. Just add a little bit of ivory black there. You can come across there like that. And eventually we'll creep towards the lighter tones. There, that would be, that's good there, around there. And then we can start playing with the colour temperature as well. But bear with me. There, around there like that. There. Come around. Have I missed anything around? Got that one. Maybe here. There's a lot going on, isn't there? There, got that. Up there like that. Nice little one here. Yeah, so definitely under the spout, because that's reflecting those darker midtones. There's one here. Everything being reflected here. There and there. And then around the bottom of this is reflecting all of this around here. Okay. And that's a darkish grey. Okay. Should be more dark here. We'll get to that later. There. And there. And here. And around here on the lid. Okay, and definitely up there. Okay, and across the top of the spout. Oh, and a bit here. Yeah, there. Okay, let's get the next level of tonal value up. One thing we need to talk about is the highlights. The highlights are really here and here. So we've got to mind that. We'll put in see where you see the next level of the next tone up, really. Here, that could have been a bit lighter there. And then up there like that. Now I see it here too. That's probably lighter than I have at the moment there. That's a kind of a similar tone there. And across there. 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 And around the lid there. That's it, okay. And now we've got some more work to do here. That's lighter there. It's very easy to lose track of where you are in a painting. That's come down there like that. I don't think we get any dark here, to be honest. That can come down there like that. To that one there. Let's make sure I have enough mixed paint. So that's all a kind of a mid-tone there. That's slightly lighter, getting darker as it comes over there and there. Okay. Push that there. Bit of work to do there. And okay. Now, I'm going to go lighter again. Now, the light that's hitting the cloth, it's not terribly warm, but adding temperature difference can really make a difference. You know, it can help in kind of applying a kind of a contrast. So let's have a look. So if we can warm it up slightly and put in some of the lighter areas. We're still not at the lightest light. Okay. So there. Here, I think it starts to get slightly ochre-y, so we'll have a go at that. Like there. Definitely across here. Under the handle. And there too. Here. There. There'll be lots of adjustment to come. So, but you're just trying to put in the broadest sort of blocks at the moment. There, like that, there, and then that block of light there. There, we've got that one there, and then that one there. We've got that one there. That goes light as it hits the edge of that. That there. There's a brightish patch coming down there, going across there, and there, and then it gets slightly darker there. So let's make a slightly darker version, and then that can go up there. So if you've got them kind of roughly described, then you can go back in and start adjusting. I've got another frog in my throat there. There, come across there like that. Yeah, you'll have to get the family silver out and start painting it, won't you? There. Thin down that spout a little bit, then that's okay. That needs to be slightly darker there, as does that. And in here it's kind of mid grey, so I'm going to push that back in tonal terms. There, that comes across there like that. Okay, now this has also got to be reflected in the teapot. the new tones that we put in. Okay, so let's get the... I'm going to have to make some more up. Silly me, didn't make enough. Okay. Down here, see, it's not the brightest bright. That can go in there like that. This is roughly the same, actually. So you'd think it would be a lot brighter, but it isn't. That can come there like that. Across there like that. And up. Up. That's the brightest bright, so just avoid that for a moment. I always feel that the putting in the the brightest brights, the highlights, is kind of like a reward for all the hard work you've done. Okay. Okay, and then here perhaps just a little bit there. In here, in the handle, across the top of the handle. Anything on the spout? Just a little touch here, perhaps. Okay, and then one here. Okay, and now there's all these between shades. So that's a kind of a between shade. So we can put that in because there's lots and lots of variation. There we go. There. We'll start to bring it together somewhat. And here too. Comes out in a triangle there like that. And that part in the center, that's fine. Then it goes light around there, so we'll leave that for the moment. And slightly darker here. There, come around to there. Let's do that. That's slightly darker than the stuff, the cloth surrounding it. Up we go, across there. We establish that shape. All it is a shape. That can come down here like that. That should be a little darker. Yeah, it's quite dark what I've just done there. And it isn't that dark at all. I'm glad you've got the patience to have lasted this far. There's loads to go, so don't worry about it. Yeah. There. That can come in through there to there. Lots of work to be done. That's all right already. That's slightly darker there, just slightly, and around there. Okay, down to there. Okay, and I'm going to start working on the darks again as soon as I've got some of these tones in. And I might change my brush too, to a smaller one. Okay, there, like that. Yes, I think I'll change my brush to a smaller one. And I'm going to use... Oh, the number's gone off it. Feels like a number 6 round to me. So I'm going to make a dark, dark. Again, blue and burnt sienna. And I'm going to push out some of these darks here. Yeah, definitely that one there. And in there too. And that shape comes down there like that. Around there. Then there's a hump. Then there's a line, kind of a straight edge. And there's that there. And then there's a dark, nice dark, dark there. Same there. And then you've got a dark defining the edge of the pot there. Definitely down here. There. And by the handle here, push that pot out a little bit. Okay. That goes down to there. Okay, then you've got that dark and the handle. Push that spout down a little bit. Definitely a dark here. And down at the edge of the handle there. And down inside the handle there. Okay. And the bubble. Don't forget the bubble. I suppose it's a handle. So that's the handle. I'll stick to my bubble. Push the paint out there and there. Definitely dark. Going running up to it. And a curve. Okay. Define that a little bit more. Define the curve at the bottom there. Now, that means I can just work on some of these shadows in here. So there's a gradation going up through there. Definitely a dark there. Okay. That's not particularly dark. There. Push that around. That needs to be pushed out a little bit. There, push that down to make the pot a little bit more visible, I think. You kind of lost a little bit there. Push that out. Now, I might actually add a little bit of blue to that. Maybe a touch of red. No, it's actually slightly warmer, isn't it? So let's have a look. Put a bit of yellow and red into that grey mix. Make it slightly more warm here. Lighter. So we're working gradually towards the highlights. Making the image clearer and clearer as we go on. I can go in there like that. down to the lid there. There. Okay, so we need to work on the cloth again. So we're going to make a slightly warm mix. We can start pushing the paint around. Go there like that. That's better. Push that around there. Push that around. So you're just gradually you're painting the pot, and then you're painting the cloth, working them together gradually. And there isn't a great deal of color variation in this painting, so you'll probably be all right as regards the color mixing, because really it's mainly just tones. You stick with the tones and make sure you get your tones okay, and then you'll be fine. That's definitely slightly darker there, coming around there like that. And then it gets dark as it goes there. And it goes light again. And then there's a light above the handle. And to the left of the handle there. That's quite light, and I'm going to sort of make sure I have that complete there. It defines the lid on that edge. Got one there, but then it goes slightly darker again here. Let's do this. Make sure that that's done. Okay. Now there's a dark that I seem to have missed on the spout, which just comes directly out of the spout down there. Okay. And now I'm going to lighten this reflection here so that it reflects more what's beneath it. And that comes all the way down to there. Over there, okay, then we've got some description needed there. I need a darker dark there, and then in the crook of the spout and the pot, that can go slightly darker as well. Up to that. That is lighter up there. Comes down. Okay, that needs to go dark in there, so I'm going to have to do something about that very soon. There's a slightly darker part there that corresponds with this, and then that there, and then that comes in there. This one comes right up to the pot and right into that crook, and the way that folds around there like that. Okay. Make sure that that's described properly there, and this is a little bit darker as it comes in. There's loads and loads of folds in this. They've all got to be described in some way. That you can come down there as dark. Actually, you're quite dark indeed there, aren't you? There. And then we've got a slightly lighter tone around here. It's bothering me that it isn't there. There, you come out there like that. All these darks are the mapping points so that I remember where I'm supposed to be on the painting. Right, that there. There's a darker part coming in there. Just put that in. I'm going to go in with a lighter light now, and warmer. I'm going to add a little bit of red and yellow into that white. I just went too far there. So a little bit of blue to knock it back from being too, and a touch of black, just there. Okay, dab those in. Now I think it gets kind of ochre-y there, so there is a bit of a yellowy, greyishy yellow sort of vibe to that paint. That can go in there like that, and even along here, because the cloth will be reflecting a lot of different tones. Whites aren't white, in other words. Yeah, so filling in those areas now. So as long as I have those mapping points in, I can sort of find where I'm supposed to put in new dabs, new tones. Well, I'm going to start filling them in just because to move this painting on a little bit. Here, perhaps. Okay. Okay, put that in there. Okay, there. That's good. Refine that curve. Okay, there we go there, and that's not the dark that I thought it was at the beginning, so that can come up there like that, come up there, and complete that down there, and that can go there as well. Okay, and then we've got this slightly darker tone. Okay, and then that can go up there like that. There. Right, I think I'm going to change my brush to a smallie. Because I want to work on the pot somewhat. So some of those darks are very bluish, I think. They're kind of a darkish blue-grey. For instance, this one here. There. not the same. It's also some dark blue grey along here, because it's not all the one dark. There. And shape that. That shapes there, and that comes down there like that, which goes down there, and then it goes across there like that. Okay. And here too. You can come down there like that, around that curvy point, cut that back, there, like that. Yes, okay, there's some work to be done in there. Let me just keep going with this for the moment. Starting to refine these shapes. Here, that's definitely a dark blue there. Push that out. Push out that curve. Yeah, you don't get a compass out and start painting or drawing curves to paint up to. You try and make them yourself. Get better results. There, like that. Now, down here too, especially along the very top, where the studio ceiling is being reflected. Put that there like that, and then make sure I get that nice and slightly pinky grey underneath the spout. Coming there, defining that. It gets more blue there, but definitely here is that pinky grey. Let's go across here. That is darker than I have it. Okay. Same in here. Okay, I'm going to refine some of the lights now as well. So down here, there's a nice light coming down that line there. You can come there like that. And warmer light around there. You can see the rumpling in the fabric, in the reflection. We've got a little reflection there. It needs to be put into. Pull that over there like that. So the strokes are getting very small now. You can come down there like that. Okay, we've got reflection in the pot around there like that. Sometimes you've got to go looking for reflections. You stop being able to see them. I do anyway, at least. You're looking at things so long that you stop seeing things. So it's a nice little light blue there. Helps to have a little bit of colour in. And then we've got a kind of a, it's that purpley colour again, isn't it? Just down there by the handle. There. And here it's a kind of a greenish colour. So a little bit of yellow to that. Put that in. There, like that. And as it comes around to the bubble, it gets lighter, but that's for later. And this part here coming around. And there. And then we've got the same thing going on here. There's a kind of a light coming all the way out to the handle. I have to steady my hand now because right, there's a not quite so dark part that needs to go here and down there. There's that. I need a bit of light around as well, actually. So that comes down there like that. Another bit there, and across the top of that there. And I need my grey again. Around there like that. And that comes around there like that. Even goes into there. Okay, and then there. Make that more gradual. Okay, so lighter greys in the handle as well over here. I can go there, and a slightly bluer one. Come around there, and then just a little flick in there. Now, let's get that grey and push that out a little bit. And then bring that around there. So I'm completing that part there. I've got nice darks there, which I need to re-establish. And you can come out there like that. And let's do a bit more redefining the darks. Around there. You can come down there like that. Yeah, I'm starting to get a bit of definition on the metal. That is a slight greenish colour just coming in there like that on that bubble, or just underneath that, I should say, coming across there. I need a dark there, and underneath that handle and re-establish the dark along the edge of that handle there, down there like that, down there like that. there's a nice bit of grey on the handle there, which comes there like that. So that's a bit of the handle too. That goes along there, push that there. Fill that in. Okay, so there are some nice greys down here that I've got to put in. Maybe slightly bluish. There. Put it in across there like that. There. Okay, re-establish some of the dark parts here too. Push them around there and push that against that light there. That light is smaller than I have it. Grab some white, put it into the mix there, brighten that up. Likewise here, and then I can start brightening some of this too, especially coming off there. That's one bit there, because that's the light that's folded up towards the light. And we've got various little light areas there too, because it's linen, and linen is kind of a rough weave, isn't it? It's not like cotton. It has kind of a texture to it, doesn't it? Let's come around here. So there's various light bits in there too. I need that in there before I forget. Push that up. See, now comes the therapeutic bit. You're just going around. You've established all the shapes, and then you just go around refining. It's great. And then you go and have your lunch. There we go. There we go, something like that. That can go in there. Yes, a bit of light's coming across there. Push that in. That's light down there. Even here. Just little dabs. No blending. Don't blend. Doesn't help anybody. Should do some work up here really, and go up there like that. There's light being reflected there. There's a little triangle there of light. A bit more light around the spout. Let's shape the spout as well. Shape the spout. Just little cuts, like you're carving. like that. Right, I'm going to put in some highlights because I feel I want to be rewarded. So grab some white, and to me the highlights are cold, so I'm going to put in a little bit of blue and a tiny bit of red. So it's kind of a violet-y kind of colour. I'm going to put that in here. It's not to say that I'm going to finish the painting now, because there's still loads to do, but I just want to push it out to its tonal limits and then start working back into it again. So a bit of a light there and a bit of light there. Do I have any more? Maybe a touch on there. Okay. And now back to... I feel refreshed after putting those in. Right. I'm making an even warmer tone here, so kind of on the pink side. Little dabs, mixing it optically with what's already there. Push that down a little bit, and then that's kind of light there, and it gets slightly darker as it goes over towards, maybe slightly bluer actually. So let's make a cooler, bluer light. Don't forget that there is a little subtle tonal variation, or hue variation here, I should say. Okay, so let's got some bluish lights tending towards the cold there. Got those. Oh, I didn't do the other highlight, did I, you silly Billy? You're probably shouting at the screen now, saying, why the hell didn't you do the other? There. Yeah, okay. I've done it now. So let me just add some... gosh, my hand is shaking now. My goodness. There, little indications that there are points of light going on. Let me steady my hand. More lights there. There's a kind of restate that purpley kind of light around this side, so it can be seen. And here too. Some variation in this panel here. I'm calling it a panel. Reflection. Panel shape, I suppose. Okay. Now there is a kind of a light coming down here. I mean, there's bound to be all sorts of reflections, so you have to keep an eye out for them. There's a nice dark here, which I need to register. Yeah, and a kind of a bit of a grey on that, on the upper end of that spout. There is a bluish, light blue, not light, mid-tone blue-grey, being reflected onto that bubble, which is obviously shiny. It comes down there like that. Yeah, probably Bakelite or something, isn't it? Used to use a lot of Bakelite in those days. Your phone was probably made of Bakelite. The earliest form of plastic. Okay, and now I'm going to need to put in some idea that this thing is ribbed. God, can you see that? Can you see the brush shaking? Now there's a goldeny grey around here. That's good. Sometimes you see things as a colour and then you put it down and it doesn't look like that at all. And you have to sort of revise it. It could be something completely different. So that's what I mean about sort of making marks and then correcting them. There's a lovely, cool light around the back on the lid. I just loaded my brush up and left the paint on. I'm not brushing it, I'm just kind of leaving the paint on. And here too. There. Do I see it anywhere else? I do see it. I see it here in the handle, just, and it's nice that, you know, you need lots of reflections when you're painting silver. Lots and lots. And do I see it anywhere else? I do. I've just seen another one there. Of course, it's around here. Of course it is. And then there's a slightly duller blue-grey here. Okay. Back into the teapot. Putting in some reflections here. And then coming across there. And then down there, there's a nice light, which is a reflection of this. Right, back into the cloth. Back into the cloth. I'm mixing up a light. I'm going to go lighter here now. And definitely here. there like that. Little twist in it. And then there's lights there, going right up to the spout. And here, all around really, I'm just going around it. I'm kind of lightening up where we see the lights on the cloth. The process of refinement. It's like building a house. You get to a stage where you think, oh yeah, okay, the painting is the painting, I think, but then you go around and it's like a builder making good. So I often call it making good. Okay, and definitely down here, yeah. That's light there. Now, there's a darker, couple of dark, bluey, cool sort of tones have got to go in. So around some of the shadows here, for example, that needs to be done here. It's kind of a violet colour for your reference. And it does occur in lots of places. There. You come around there like that. I want to get rid of the of all the burnt sienna parts, you know, the wash. Around there too, that's nice. And up on that ridge where it's away from the light. There. Painting shiny things. In here. Break up that edge. It is a soft edge, it's a curve. Oh yes, that's right. Yeah. I'm like anybody, I just sort of avoid things. Trouble is they always creep up on you and you've got to complete them. Do you avoid things? That's a good question for you. Areas of the painting, I mean, it's the actual painting you're trying to do. So it's pointless avoiding stuff, it's got to be done. I am but a lazy man. Now, let's make sure some of that goes around here too, because it is slightly darker at the top than it is, generally speaking, at the bottom part of the painting. I'm actually quite enjoying this nice violet. Make sure I sculpt down that very delicate spout. Push that up against there, lose the... Here, look, here we go, something I've been avoiding for a long time here, this part here. I know one of you will probably phone me in the middle of this one time. Do the bloody spout. I need to re-establish a dark up around here. Push that up. Course here. 2. I need to do that other bit that I've been avoiding. There. Coming down there like that. That means I can get my break up those edges. They they're soft, the edges here. Bring that down a little bit because it was a bit of a triangle, a fold there. Break that up. Break it up. There we go. There. And here too. Now here's an interesting one because that needs to go in there, but then I see it as a bit of a blue as well. Maybe I'll just go back to my other brush. I don't know. I just got sort of into a torpor while I was talking to you and doing this, and I could have used a bigger brush. It would have probably covered the ground more quickly. Kind of bluish purples there. Lots of different colours reflected in that cloth. Okay, you can come in there like that, push that up. There. Okay, now this all has to be done, doesn't it? I know. I could have chosen a simpler one, couldn't I? So there's a kind of a grey, graduating up there, and that too, that's to be all finished there. Here it's more complicated, so let's put that in. Incidentally, if you get the chance, look up Sir William Nicholson. He did great still lifes of silver objects. Oh, just beautiful. Sir William Nicholson. And he was an illustrator too. Always the best. Now, just for pig iron, I'm going to put in that dark there, just for balance. Up to there, out, and then down there. Maybe I'll just put one there. As I say, just for pig iron. There's an expression you might not have heard if you didn't grow up in Ireland. I really don't know what it means myself either, how it came about. That pig iron would be for just to see there like that. Okay, now there is something here that I want to put in. It's a kind of a dark reddish golden reflection. There. And it's nice to have that there. Kind of repeats there a little bit. It's nice to have red in a painting, I think. Okay. And greens are missing from this painting. So I'm going to mix up a little bit of a green. So there must be something green around. So I'm going to put in some green around here. So it's not just a painting of what you see. You know, you can if you think a painting needs something, you're God, and you put it in if you want. And that can go up to there like that. Okay, so let me just break up that edge because it's disappearing away from us. So one way to help that illusion is to break up the edges. This here is slightly bluish. This is all refinement now. Around here. Even a little bit of kind of a golden part here. Lots and lots of reflections. Many, many, many reflections. Okay. So I might push that edge down towards the handle, this one here. That's too far out. And same here. That can come down there like that. Okay. Back to the background. Yeah, there's some lighter cools there. Push that together. Now what's going on there? Now that's interesting. I need some light, and that's got to come down there as it is. and then it's got to come across there. That's light. And then that's got to be light. Very light. And that comes around there like that, around there like that, then across the top of that bit there. That gives that a little bit of definition and height, I suppose. Come across there. Check that spout again. Now there's a nice light coming down there like that. In fact, it's more like that, and it comes down across there and down there like that. And then it's lighter there, which means it's darker there's there, and that comes down there like that. That's good. Back to my lights. And in here there's lights that need to be represented. There. There. Lighter there, and that would be light going across there. And that needs a light. Light going across there and up to there. And that comes down there like that. And then there's another little fold coming around there. And let's put in some of these greys again, just so that give a bit of definition. It's very dark in there. That can be completed there. I mean, the main work is all done here. All the rest is just making good and fiddling around until you're happy. Okay, so there's a little bit of a little bit of reflection action. There. I'm coming down from there. I've got that one there. Got that one there. Just finish this handle. Okay. Okay. Right. I think that'll do for the video. And what I'll do is I'm going to just refine it a little bit more, and just so that you can see the final result. But all the important work has been done. So as regards sort of me, sort of helping you with ways that you can sort of approach this kind of work. You've seen the whole lot now, and I'll just put in the final image at the end so that you can see it and see what became of it. But it's stuff that's kind of all occurring up here really, and maybe out in some of these regions of the cloth. So I hope that that you enjoyed that video, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. So if you have any ideas about what you'd like me to paint, please let me know in the comments, and do comment and get in touch, because it's nice to hear from you, and also, besides, it helps the algorithm, I say. And I don't do any deals with companies to sell paint or to sell you things to smoke. Many people do that, but I don't do it, and it'd be nice to keep these things free of that. I wouldn't like to have to break into a kind of a eulogy about vaping, because I don't like it anyway, but or something. Do you know what I mean? I don't particularly want to recommend people's paints either, because I like to use certain paints, but nobody's queuing up to get me to sell their paints for them. But I don't want to do it anyway. It breaks the concentration. All right, so that'll be it. And shortly after I finish here, I'll show you how all of this ended up. Okay, so that's it for this session. It's a long session, but what harm? It's a great technique to develop. It's a good thing to paint silver because of the high reflectiveness, and linen is great too, because it's just as reflective. It's just that everything's dissipated. So when you paint white cloth, you're never painting white. It's always got some kind of colour or tone to it. Try it. There you are. So I hope to see you in the next one. Take care. Bye.